Good morning, everyone. My name is Inspector Mark Atkinson. I'm the officer in charge of the road policing section with the South Australia Police. We are about to embark on a long weekend, the March long weekend, which is also known as the Adelaide Cup long weekend. And the South Australia Police will be running 2 road safety campaigns over this long weekend. The first operation is Stop Drink and Drug Driving, and the second campaign is the Operation Safe Long Weekend. Operation Stop Drink Driving will target road users who choose to drive a motor vehicle whilst they've consumed alcohol or drugs. Police will be out in force conducting both mobile testing and fixed location testing, static driver testing. So if you choose to drive your vehicle after you've consumed alcohol, you can expect to be stopped by the police, and they'll be throughout the metropolitan and regional areas also. The other campaign is the Operation Safe Long Weekend, and that will target and focus the Fatal 5 offences. The Fatal 5 offences are, as I've already mentioned, drink and drug driving, speeding, the correct use of seatbelts, distraction, and dangerous road use. I particularly want to make mention of distraction. We are aware that the use of mobile phones whilst driving is a very dangerous act, and the consequences can be catastrophic because whilst a person is using a mobile phone, their eyes are not on the road. But distraction can be far more than just using a mobile phone. It can be eating, reading a book, adjusting your radio in your car, playing with your GPS in your vehicle. So distraction can be a lot more than just using mobile phones, and I need the driving community to understand that. If your eyes are not on the road, then you are distracted, and a vehicle travelling at 60 kilometres per hour, if you take your eyes off the road for 10 seconds, for a second, you will travel 33 metres in that time. So we'll focus on the Fatal 5 offences. Dangerous road use, and this is particularly prevalent for people who have chosen to go away for the long weekend, which many of you will do. Dangerous road use are the offences like the running red lights, failing to change lanes safely, making poor behaviours when overtaking, and that's really prevalent on country roads. So I urge the driving community to please take your time, plan to arrive safely, so give yourself plenty of time, activate your GPS on your car before you leave, make sure that your mobile phone is sitting in an approved cradle, do not touch it, and then you will be in a much better position to arrive at your destination safely. Take caution when overtaking and stay on your side of the road wherever possible, and make sure that the oncoming traffic is clear before you choose to overtake on the regional roads. This year we've sadly had 20 lives lost on the road, and so what that means is that there are 20 families in South Australia that are deeply affected by the loss of a loved one, and I cannot emphasise the sadness that those families would be encountering. So 20 families are heavily impacted already. As we move into the long weekend, I ask that people do take care. Last year we were fatality free on the March long weekend, and the South Australia Police would very much like to see that happen again this year. So please take care. That leads me into my next point. So to year to date, there have been 4 pedestrians killed. So we've lost 4 pedestrian lives on South Australian roads to date. This morning on Hackney Road at Hackney, a pedestrian was crossing Hackney Road and got hit by a bus. That pedestrian, and early indications, it is very early indications suggest that the pedestrian was not using an approved traffic crossing or pedestrian crossing. The pedestrian has suffered non-life-threatening injuries, we understand, but it is early days. But this leads into my point. Pedestrians do need to heed these same warnings. There are so many festivals down at the Fringe, Womadelaide, the Adelaide Festival, All these festivals are occurring in South Australia. It's what makes South Australia great, and we should be very proud of them. But there comes a responsibility for pedestrians and motorists alike. We are sharing the road. If you are attending these festivals and you're a pedestrian, then please use crossings, take care, look to the left, look to the right before you cross roads. Since 2020, there have been 5 lives lost and 60 serious injuries during the March long weekend. As I previously stated, last year we were fatality-free, and we would very much like to see that occur again this year. So I ask all motorists to follow the road rules and drive to the conditions. If you make the decision to take a risk on the road, then there are serious consequences. As I've said, the police are out in force. There are random breath testing stations, both mobile and static. If you choose to drink and drive, the chances of you getting caught are very high. The police can stop you at any time if you're the driver of a motor vehicle and test you, and that includes the testing for drugs as well. The consequences are significant, or can be significant, and we want to try and make every effort to stop this from happening again. Thank you. I'll take any questions that people have.
Inspector, the pedestrian that was hit by a bus on Hackney Road this morning, that's right across from the Wanamad Festival, which I believe kicks off tonight. There's not a whole lot of infrastructure there for pedestrians crossing. I mean, do you have a message for those people going to the festival? The message for the festival is just to take care, take your time, arrive early, but the onus is not only on the pedestrians to traverse across the road safely. The message is also for motorists to slow down. There will be speed signs out there to slow motorists down. Please heed those warnings, slow down, look out for pedestrians, and also for the pedestrians to please take care when crossing roads.
The 20 fatalities so far year to date, is that up from the same time last year?
So this time last year there were 17, so we are slightly up.
Are you concerned then going into the March long weekend?
We're always concerned about lives lost on the road. We would prefer it to be nothing. So we keep reinforcing this road safety message to the motorists of South Australia to do the right thing, to look after one another, to drive cautiously and carefully, abide by speed limits, and basically do the right thing. A lot of this stuff is not hard stuff to do. Putting on a seatbelt is not a hard thing to do. It should be autonomous. We've been talking about drink and drug driving for so many years now, and yet people still are driving a motor vehicle whilst under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So we're just reinforcing that there are things we can do. We know that the fatal 5 offences contribute largely to 99.9% of road deaths. If we can taper our behaviour and do the right thing on the road, then hopefully we can reduce the number of people that die on our roads.
I know you said last March long weekend was fatality free, but do we tend to see a spike in bad driving behaviour when we have a long weekend?
We have no indication that there is worse driving behaviour on long weekends. I think there are more vehicles on the road because people aren't at work, but if no, there's nothing to suggest the behaviour is different. I think we just have a greater volume of cars on the road and also people travelling into the regions, which brings me to my point that, and I'll just reiterate that we do have highway patrol working the weekend as well, so the regions will be heavily policed by traffic police as well from our highway patrol section.
What would you say police are really targeting? Is it drink driving and phone use?
So distraction in general is a key issue. As I've said, if your eyes are not on the road, then it's a very, very dangerous situation. We are putting significant effort into drink and drug driving, which is why we have the Stop Drink Drive campaign happening this weekend as well, and that will go right the way through to Monday evening. So we do put significant emphasis on drink and drug driving. It's very dangerous, and there are some people out there who are still driving with some very high readings, which is really poor behaviour because we're all sharing the road with these people. So I emphasise again to the public to do the right thing. If you are attending these the festivals over the weekend here in Adelaide, then use public transport or a ride share or a taxi or arrange a designated driver. and just keep yourself safe on the road and keep others safe on the road as well.
Inspector, could I just get you to repeat, you mentioned before if you take your eyes off the road for just 1 second, you travel a certain
Yep.
amount of distance. Could you just say that one more time?
Yep, I'll just get that. So being distracted by a mobile for 2 seconds at 60 kilometres an hour means a driver travels 33 metres without their eyes on the road. A driver distracted for 2 seconds at 100 kilometres an hour means that they will travel 55 metres without their eyes on the road.
I guess with such high foot traffic expected around the city and places like Hackney on the outskirts, these messages are for road users, but also what's the message to pedestrians as well?
It's the same message for pedestrians, because pedestrians are the people that are attending these functions and these events and having a good time, and quite rightly. Adelaide's a great place this time of year. So they're out enjoying themselves. That often involves the consumption of alcohol or drugs. I can't not say that. So their behaviour is just as important as the behaviour for drivers, and they have the same obligation. They have to keep themselves safe, so their behaviour and their decision making has to be pretty on ball.
On Hackney Road, I mean, there aren't a lot of pedestrian crossings. Do you think there needs to be more infrastructure? I think a person was hit by a bus there just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So the decision about the crossings and pedestrian crossings and signage is all a matter for the Department of Infrastructure and Transport. However, we will erect signage today so that the speed limits are dropped, so that festival pedestrian traffic can traverse safely across the road, and those signs will slow the traffic right the way down.
What will it be dropped?
25.